Eskrima. It's the native fighting style of the Philippines. Using sticks, knives, and hand-to-hand combat, Eskrima is a bloody art with a long and violent history.
Now, we're going to immerse ourselves in the jungles, train in the gritty urban gyms, and take on water buffaloes in a rice paddy to learn the brutal secrets of this fighting art. Then, one of us is going to put them to the test against a full-fledged Eskrima master.
There are hundreds of distinct fighting styles in the world. They are practiced in every nation and by every people. Now, Jason Chambers, a mixed martial artist and professional fighter, and Bill Duff, a former pro football player and wrestler, are embarked on a mission to explore the history and techniques of these incredible martial arts. And at the end of each journey, one of these two warriors will face the ultimate test. They'll try to survive a real fight with a true human weapon.
This is the indigenous fighting style of the Philippines, Eskrima. Eskrima is one of the most complex and dangerous martial arts in the world. And its homeland is the island nation of the Philippines.
Stretching from Indonesia in the south to Taiwan in the north, the more than 7,000 islands of the Philippines practice many different forms and styles of Eskrima. But Eskrima's heart is here in Cebu City.
Is this real?
I think it's a demonstration.
It's a hell of a demonstration.
Yeah. This could become real very quickly.
Yeah.
That was definitely real.
That was real, right on the back of his head. Even so-called demonstrations can draw blood and a crowd. Like this one in the Carbone Market District of Cebu City.
All these guys have cuts, bruises, banged up. I mean, this can't be fun getting thrown on cement when it's muddy and hot, and it's blistering and sweaty and smelly in this place.
When they throw down, they want the crowd's reaction, they want blood.
Watching from the sidelines was Gerald Cañete, the youngest in a long line of Eskrima masters of the 12 Paris system. Gerald's on hand to make sure this demonstration doesn't escalate into a real bloodbath.
Dang, it's bleeding all over the place, man.
Hey, are these your guys?
Yeah, these are my guys.
He had a challenge for us.
If you guys train hard enough and you get good enough, well, I got a fighter for you to fight.
The Escrimador we'd fight was Percival Pobleo, a national champion. He'd give us the ultimate Eskrima test.
Eskrima is believed to have evolved in the Philippines from Chinese, Indonesian, and Malaysian martial art forms brought to the area by traders during the 2nd century. As local warriors interacted and fought with these other cultures, they incorporated various fighting styles into their own systems.
By the time the Spanish explorer Ferdinand Magellan and his conquistadors arrived in Cebu in 1521, Filipino warriors trained in this hybrid fighting style were there to greet him. Just 6 days after his arrival, Ferdinand Magellan was dead on the shores of nearby Mactan Island.
Variations of Eskrima were used against Muslim raiders and Spanish conquistadors. It has also been used in intertribal and gang fights throughout the Philippines, where each group fought with its own version of Eskrima.
It wasn't until the 1930s that a unified system of Eskrima began to emerge. On the island of Cebu, the 12 greatest masters decided to join forces and formalize their fighting styles. They called themselves 12 Pares, which means 12 pairs.
They helped turn Eskrima from a fighting art to a sport. And today, as many as 200,000 Filipinos train and compete in Eskrima. Sport matches, where both contestants are heavily padded, are held throughout the islands and often won by competitors from the 12 Paris school, which is where we began our training.
It's really, really cool to think that these guys are training with sticks and daggers and knives, and I mean, this is probably as primeval as it gets.
You name a way to kick somebody's ass, and these guys have come up with it. 1, 2.
In Eskrima, each strike is designed to be used 3 different ways. Empty-handed, with a knife, or with a stick called a baston. The sticks here are just an extension of your hands. It's the same principles that you're using no matter how you're using your body, with or without a stick. Other martial arts, the stick techniques are strictly used with a stick. So you're really training for an hour, but you drop a stick and you don't have that technique. With Eskrima, you still have the same angles and the same attacks. The only difference is now you have a stick in your hands, so I can hit you from a lot farther.
Our training sticks are made from a light, fibrous wood called rattan. For centuries, rattan staves, or canes, have been used as a form of punishment in Southeast Asia.
I've had some Eskrima training. It combines striking and grappling. But what makes it so tough is the stick work.
That last hit, is that going for the foot?
No. This is only hit by your skull. Continue to
Follow through.
yeah.
So they're slapping the mat because they're following through their hit, like a baseball player. Instead of hitting a ball, they're hitting a skull. It's pretty wicked.
Get it?
I think so.
You think you got it. That's I think
It looks easy at home. Believe me, it's not. It's like learning a cheerleading routine with weapons.
What high school did you go to?
Once we started getting the hang of these basic stick strikes,
This is how you block number 1. Okay?
we moved on to a system of defensive checks and counterattacks.
You strike.
The idea is to keep your opponent's attacking arm in check.
If I apply my punch, that's my punch. When you strike there. Okay?
While at the
Obviously,
same
when
time
you strike,
opening up his core for a counterpunch
there, break,
A lock.
break, break, break.
or a takedown, like this
Strikes.
one.
Block.
It's called
go here.
labai.
Basically, I just twist this here, and he just throw. He just.
That's cool.
To properly execute the labai, an Escrimador checks his man, then locks his opponent's left elbow over his right arm, using his own momentum and the thrust of his legs to slam the opponent to the ground.
So this is a block, joint lock, and a throw, all in one?
That's a trifecta. I like that.
Labai works on a concept called the couple. Basically, it's 2 levers linked at a single fulcrum, the elbow lock. And it doubles the foot-pounds of torque you can generate when compared to a single-arm lock. There's more than enough force to flip an opponent to the mat or dislocate his elbow.
Phil, which hand do I use to block it first? Left or the right?
Left.
Okay.
So you go for the left. Just check it.
And then here?
Yeah. Turn him. Good. There. That's it.
Who's dumping down? It's a little effort on my part. It's like turning a bus with Bill.
For a guy my size, a move like labai definitely has its advantages.
Good. There you go.
Feels good. It's a real leverage move, which, with my history of wrestling, could work for me.
Here.
Did you feel that?
Boom. Boom. Boom.
After several hours of practice, Grandmaster Bonifacio Uwe gives us some key advice.
When you're hitting, don't dance. Don't dance. This is not dance studio. This is martial arts studio.
Eskrima isn't just flashy stick work. It's about power.
When you're hitting, you have to follow through. Now, when you hit and do not follow through, then the strike is not as powerful as when you follow through.
So don't dance, follow through.
Nice, nice. Nice,
I
nice.
splintered it a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Look at that. Splintering a rattan training stick is one thing. Stepping into a fighting pit with a trained escrimador is another.
Now, we're headed to the rice paddies to learn a move that dates back before Magellan. One that might give us an edge against Percival Poblete. The Spanish fleets that followed Magellan brought with them Catholicism. But the Philippines have always been a melting pot of Asian religions too.
Which is why one of the main monuments of Cebu City is this Taoist temple. Built to commemorate the teachings of legendary Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. It's also where we're going to learn a combination attack from Eskrima Grandmaster Joe Borsis.
He makes it look so smooth. That looks incredibly painful.
It's basically using his momentum and his joints against him every time.
Behind the head, tosses him. That's sweet. I like throwing people with sticks.
Grandmaster Joe had a move that would make the most of our limited stick skills. One that combined defense and offense.
So he disarmed him, and then he was able to throw him too.
This move begins with the escrimador grabbing his opponent's attacking arm. He then strikes his opponent hard across the midsection before disarming him with a wrist strike, then finishing him with a good blow to the head. For good measure, Grandmaster Joe flips his man too.
Can you just do the first part only to the disarm? One, two, three. So that's the disarm. 3 steps to it. 1, strike, disarm, strike.
By using the twisting motion of the torso to drive the strike, the business end of the hardwood fighting stick can quickly accelerate to more than 25 miles per hour. On contact with the skull, the energy is enough to cause a depressed fracture. It's the same injury-producing force as being hit in the temple by a hammer.
Get on the thumb, turn it, strike, and here.
Disarm, strike.
Strike. This one.
Okay.
Once you strike the wrist, he has no choice but to let go because you're basically shattering a bone. So it's wham, he lets go, and then he's at your disposal.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I've had some Eskrima training, but this is masterclass level. And there was still so much to learn if I wanted to be ready to take on Percival Poblete.
One day I hope to be half as good as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmaster.
If we hoped to stand a chance in the ring, we needed to learn the very foundations of Eskrima. And to do that, we need to head to the country.
Perfect. Look at this thing.
Maybe hop in the back.
For the first part of our journey, we hopped in a jeepney. Brought to the Philippines by the U.S. military, these 1960s vintage Jeeps have been heavily modified and even turned into public transportation.
You know what? This has to be the weirdest vehicle I've ever been in.
This is like Jerry Garcia's personal limo.
We eventually arrived at Port Cebu. From there, it was an outrigger ride to Negros Occidental. It's home to an ancient art many believe is the forerunner to modern Eskrima. It's called Kali.
At a farm near the base of the Manalaga Mountains, we met up with Leo Gahe.
Hi, I'm Bill, Grand Tuhan.
Known to his students as Grand Tuhan, Leo is the world's leading practitioner of Kali. Because this ancient form of Eskrima was practiced in open fields, he led us into some nearby rice paddies. There, we warmed up with an ancient form of spear throwing.
Developed centuries ago by local boar hunters, this is a wicked test of both balance and endurance.
Go back, come on, go back. Hang on, head start, that's a head start. Keep running, Bill. Run,
Woo! Every time you put your leg in the mud, pull it back out, you feel that weight. It's kind of like pulling a sled out on the football field. Resistance training. It's really hard work, but it's a lot of fun too.
Next, Grand Tuhan had us work on our upper bodies by striking at the water.
Go, hit up, hit it hard.
First with our bamboo spears.
Hard, hit it hard, come on, hit it hard. Go, hit hard.
Then with bastons.
Hit the water, hit.
I can see where Kali came from. 100 years ago, chasing your enemy through a rice paddy, smashing his head in with a stick. I mean, it's a direct relation to Eskrima.
Yeah, and talk about footwork. If your footwork is good when you're in 8 inches of mud, you can maneuver some footwork when you're on land.
And these same Kali techniques we were practicing could have helped create modern Eskrima. Shortly after Magellan's death in 1521, Spanish conquistadors returned with more men and better weapons and defeated the local warriors. The Spanish installed Catholicism as a state religion and outlawed all indigenous martial arts.
Forced to go underground, local warriors incorporated their training methods into a variety of ceremonial rituals. They convinced the Spaniards these rituals were tribal dances, which they called Kali. In reality, these so-called dances were tightly choreographed sparring sessions designed to replicate real fight scenarios.
When the Spanish caught on, the Kali masters took their training out of the towns and into the rice paddies. But they didn't just take on mud. They even began battling the local livestock, which led to one of the most dangerous forms of training in all of martial arts.
It's a system of wrestling maneuvers that often results in broken arms, legs, and even necks. If you're a purist like Grand Tuhan, you train the same way your ancestors did, using a 1,600-pound water buffalo as your sparring partner.
How does a 1,600-pound water buffalo help with your Kali?
If you can take down the 4-foot guy, the 2-foot person is easy to take down.
What's the actual...
But wrestling a water buffalo is no easy task, even for a trained Kali expert.
That didn't work. Water buffalo 1, Filipino guy is 0.
While the techniques aren't enough to take down this water buffalo, they're more than enough to take down a
What was
man.
that move where you were holding his head down?
Especially if you're going to use a simple but deadly move called Baliag Pamali. It's best used when an opponent has lost his baston and is looking to turn a stick or knife fight into a wrestling match, which in an art as diverse as Eskrima could easily happen.
So anybody grapples you, you're safe, because the moment he gives his hand here, you are in complete control. See, you can break that. See?
So you're blocking his right hand?
You can smash his head.
Yeah, he's tapping.
The Escrimador wraps his own forearm between the attacker's neck and upper arm, then uses the weight of his body and gravity to force his opponent to the ground.
Baliag Pamali relies on something called a flexion moment imparted to the neck to do damage. An average man's neck can withstand about a 140 foot-pound flexion moment. Beyond that, soft tissue and even vertebrae can be crushed. By bringing your weight down fast, this move could easily deliver twice that amount of force. And it wouldn't just end a fight. It could leave your opponent paralyzed or dead.
When you come in, I bring you down.
For the next several hours, we practiced the move.
So any movements that he has there, see this? This goes right away.
And you can bet it's a lot more fun to be on the giving end of that move than the receiving end.
Right? This is good.
Give him a pain.
Make him pain?
Give him pain. Lift that some more. Relax, relax. I'll show you to you.
Okay, he's gonna.
I'll show you to you.
Pull them in and go over the head
Yeah.
and underneath here.
Right, and you drop your knee.
Drop your knee. Can you feel it? Okay. Yeah, he can feel it. So you're basically using a crank after the guy tries to grab you. It's like a reverse half Nelson. You got your elbow on the back of his neck. Once you apply pressure and put your knee down, you can basically break the guy's neck.
But our next move wouldn't be based in history. It would come very much from the present, a group of Special Forces soldiers on the front lines of the war against terrorism. Our next stop was Fort San Pedro, the oldest Spanish settlement in the Philippines. The Spanish ruled the Philippines for almost 450 years until they were defeated by American forces and local rebels schooled in the martial art called Eskrima.
Our mission was to learn those moves from Grandmaster Nick Elizar. Nick and his students are considered some of the finest stick fighters in the country.
Here.
There's more of these, correct? In the sequence? Can we see the rest of them too?
That happened so fast I didn't even see what happened. Do it, just slow it down. Slow. We concentrated on just one of Nick's moves. It's called Pangilog, or the third strike. I like that.
That's good.
You can... From here, you can do that, and you pull his, you see? Bang.
Oh, you get the stick out of his hand.
Yeah. You have to get
In the Pangilog, the Escrimador blocks his opponent's thrust,
stick is like this.
and then thrusts his own stick up and over his opponent's. He then wraps his baston under his opponent's arm and drives him to the ground.
Push pressure down here.
There, he's vulnerable to any number of kill
Pull
shots.
him back, grab, and break his arm.
Break his arm.
With the elbow locked, the opponent's forearm becomes a lever and his elbow a fulcrum. Any force applied to his wrist is more than doubled by the mechanical advantage of leverage. By jerking hard on the arm, you can easily hyperextend the elbow. The same kind of injury that you'd sustain falling hard onto your outstretched arm.
Again, defense, thrust, no, steady. Steady.
Steady.
Yeah, steady again. Forward. Yeah, thrust. Wait.
Hit myself in the head.
Beware of your... Yeah. Step back, thrust, then turn, then put it there, and pull me there. Yeah.
You know, it's taken a while, but finally I'm starting to feel a little comfortable with these sticks in my hand. It's really unnatural, but when you get used to it and you start moving the sticks and slide them around, learning moves like this, it starts to become second nature.
After disarming, you can finish your opponent. Ping. After grab, pass. So if he can defend, use your left hand to grab, and another pick and strike.
Oh, so he can come with a couple different angles. Let me try that.
Bang. See?
I like this move. It's quick, it's clean, and it's simple. It leaves you with a lot of options. It's an intense defense.
But we were still far from ready for our fight. So we headed to Manila to learn a move from some real modern-day warriors who are using Eskrima in the fight against terrorists. Home to more than 11 million people, Manila is the capital of the Philippines and one of the fastest-growing cities on Earth. Manila is also home to Fort Bonifacio, headquarters of the Philippine Marine Special Forces Unit and its innovative leader, Marine Corps Chief of Staff Colonel Natalio Acama.
Like many soldiers, about 80% of Filipinos today are Catholic. But the islands close to Indonesia and Malaysia have a significant Muslim population. Long before 9/11 and the U.S. War on Terror, Colonel Acama and his men were engaged in armed confrontations with militant Islamic factions from the southern island of Mindanao.
In 1994, these factions joined forces with another terrorist group and authored a spate of attacks that led to the death of several Western tourists and several hundred Filipinos.
What was the name of that terrorist group that you had the encounter with?
Here in the Philippines, we call it Abu Sayyaf, and others call it Al-Qaeda.
With Abu Sayyaf deeply entrenched in the jungles of Mindanao, traditional methods of engagement wouldn't work.
So in 1995, Colonel Eskrima turned to a lethal form of Eskrima known as Pukiti Tercia. In Pukiti Tercia, knife work is key. The knife of choice for Colonel Eskrima and his men is a broad, double-edged machete known as a bolo. With its deep curve and weighted tip, the bolo is useful for hacking through the jungle and has been used in the Philippines for hundreds of years. During World War II, Filipino guerrillas who failed their marksmanship test were given bolos instead of rifles.
There are times that you don't have time to pick up your rifle, you don't have the time to pick up your pistol, and it's too close, you can use your knife. And you must know how to use the knife.
With that simple tenet in mind, the Colonel's men show us what Pukiti Tercia is all about.
So that they're in the field and they come up against another man. They got a bolo. They're training to run him down and kill him before he kills them. It's intense.
And one of Pukiti Tercia's most dangerous moves, whether it's practiced with a knife, a stick, or hand-to-hand, is palamut.
As the attacker moves in with his weapon hand, the Escrimador blocks the attack, then sidesteps to the left, and takes control of his opponent's arm at the elbow. He then throws 2 quick strikes to the arm and head. Just like that, it's lights out. By getting close, the opponent's neck is exposed. But because of the close range, the hand doesn't generate a huge amount of force. It's enough to stun, but probably not enough to cause severe injury. But replace the hand with a weapon, a stick or a knife, as you would in combat, and this could become a kill shot.
So the grip is inside on the soft piece of the tissue, and you want to grab as hard as you can. This is all about getting the guy in the most vulnerable position as possible. So it's footwork, vulnerable position, break, and then strike.
Bring that Spartan down.
Of course, these soldiers have a lot of other moves at their disposal too. And they kindly offer to demonstrate them on me.
Put him down. Hold it up, elbow.
My hands is choking.
Yeah, it's choking.
Yes.
Are you okay?
For sure. Yeah, I'm good. When I was on the ground there and he had his hand across my Adam's apple and was cutting off my carotid arteries, I felt like I was about to go out, so I'm glad he got off as quick as he did. Damn, that hurt.
But we had more pain ahead. To prepare for our final fight, we plunge into the jungle camp of a Grand Master and learn centuries-old techniques that would take us to the very heart of Eskrima. We're headed to a remote area near the town of Bujan. This once isolated town has a rich Eskrima history. Bujan was a hub of the resistance to the Japanese in World War II. Today, it's home to one of the greatest Escrimadors on the planet.
He's Joni Cañete, and he's the Supreme Grand Master of the legendary 12 Paris School where we began our training. He's going to give us the final training we need to stand against Percival Pobleo in our upcoming Eskrima fight.
Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to our mountain quarters.
Thank you, Jody.
It's a beautiful place here.
Yeah, beautiful place. Peace and quiet. Quicker, faster training here. But you should be very careful. You're going to shoot it out.
The Grand Master wanted us to focus on the spirit of Eskrima, to condition our minds and our bodies for the intensity of combat. He began with a demonstration of a ritual sword dance called Sayao.
For many centuries, Sayao was performed at night, with Escrimadors covered in a brilliant red mud pack. They would twirl their swords in a circular motion, symbolic of the orbit of the planets around the sun. As drummers pounded out ancestral rhythms, the sayao would grow more and more intense. Sayao may have been a dance, but the master explained that the techniques have a practical application.
Because with twirling movements, you can hit as many opponents as possible. Okay? Rather than when just slashing.
So it's not just for show, you're actually doing that. So
Yeah, it's not only for show. Some people think it's for show. It's not.
I gotta be honest, it still looks pretty cool though.
Well, I've been doing it for 60 years.
Then it was our turn to practice. But we had an extra challenge.
So what is this that we're doing here?
They're practicing our basic twirling exercise and also to train them on how to balance for our footwork. Dos, tres, cuatro, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Being in the middle of freaking 100-degree weather, sweating, disgusting, flies and bugs, mosquitoes everywhere. This is really tough.
Tres, cuatro, uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
The sticks challenged our coordination, and the raft challenged our balance. One misstep, and it would be easy to tear a tendon.
What am I gonna take away from this? I am gonna be very conscious of where the heck that stick is and my feet are in this fight.
In this isolated environment, we could feel ourselves becoming immersed in Eskrima. And it was painful, because after working on our balance, the Grand Master pitted Jason and I against each other for the first time.
Very good.
But instead of our lightweight rattan sticks, the Grand Master had us use metal rods wrapped in a thin layer of foam padding.
The metal gives the sticks the weight and stiffness of a real bestow.
Oh my God!
I heard that one whiz.
That's a good snap. That's a good snap.
I have an edge on Bill since I've had more background in stick fighting,
God.
but man can he swing those things.
Oh my God. Put it low. Okay. Now, you like it? How you like it?
It's great.
Now you feel how to get it.
There's a steel bar in here. It hurts like hell when you get hit, and you feel it every time.
You strike, I block,
Okay.
I check out. You strike again, I strike. That's it. Okay, we're run now. Block, very good block, there. See? Go low. Okay, go up. Good. Circle. Then I check out there. You block. There, check out. Block. Okay, there.
I'm trying to throw some crazy blocks.
Good.
Good?
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
The training never seemed to stop. The Grand Master forced us to use the natural environment to condition ourselves. We fought in water to build our strength and coordination. We beat trees to work on the power of our blows. And we fought each other to work on our technique.
Fighting in the water, hitting trees. I mean, mountain training is really difficult. I thought the gym was tough. This was worse.
It was working, though. We could feel our skills improving. We were far from mastering Eskrima, but we were close to ready for our fight. On our final day of training, the Supreme Grand Master of Dosei Paris took us aside. He told us to always remember that Eskrima isn't just a sport. It's a warrior art that links us to legendary fighters like those who used Eskrima in a guerrilla war against Japanese invaders in World War II.
After the retreat of General MacArthur's forces in the Philippines in 1942, the Filipinos were left to fend for themselves. But a small group in Cebu, including a Dosei Paris founder, Teodoro Saavedra, wouldn't surrender. Teodoro and his guerrillas fought the Japanese for 2 years, using Eskrima when other weapons weren't available. In the end, Teodoro was captured, tortured, and killed before U.S. forces finally drove the Japanese out of the Philippines in 1945. But his memory is still honored by the Eskrimadors of Dosei Paris.
Gentlemen, I'm going to give you the sticks. These sticks symbolize your acceptance to the Paris. You now have the responsibility and obligation to defend the honor, the good name, and history of the Paris.
Made from camangong, a rare tropical hardwood found in the rainforests of the Philippines, these are real fighting sticks, reserved for real Escrimadors.
I wish you to put up a good fight tomorrow.
This has been an absolute honor for me to be able to train with the Dulce Paris group and Master Cañete. It's kind of the equivalent of meeting the Beatles if you're into rock. But the love fest was over. Tomorrow, one of us is going to face off against one of the greatest fighters in the Dulce Paris system.
We showed up at the venue, a rural arena outside Bajan. Venues like this are common in the Philippines. Even though they aren't professional fights, Eskrima matches are popular entertainment and can draw a big crowd to a rustic arena like this. But there's rustic, and then there's rustic.
Turns out, this arena has seen some of the wildest fights in the world, both human and animal. It wasn't just an Eskrima fighting pit. It was a cockfighting pit. When we arrived, the Supreme Grand Master was waiting for us, and our opponent, Percival Pobleo, was already warming up.
He looks pretty good.
But it was hard to tell what was scarier, Percival's wicked skills or the crowd that was here to cheer him on.
Now I know what the gladiators felt like in Rome.
And if the crowd wasn't intimidating,
I hope they're kidding.
our makeshift dressing room certainly was.
This is our locker room?
Yeah.
Yeah?
There's a pig 20 feet that way. There's some random goats out here. It's hot and it smells, and I stepped in chicken poop.
Despite all the distractions, it was time to decide which one of us would take on Percival.
So I think our best chance of winning, if we have a chance against a four-time world champ, is you.
Where I do think you'd be stronger, I just don't think it's going to make for a very competitive match.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll get changed in.
Do it.
After dressing, Bill and I began to warm up.
So I'm thinking hands because I'm taller than him, so I'll be able to keep outside more. So I'm thinking hand attack, and then if I can get in, man, it's gonna be hard to stop myself from throwing knees. Whew.
I think you're looking good, man.
I feel hot, I feel sweaty, most importantly, I feel ready.
But as I was warming up, a roar erupted from the cockpit. Apparently, Percival and I weren't the only ones on the fight card.
There's only one rule. 2 birds enter, 1 bird leaves.
Although cockfighting is illegal in the States, it has deep cultural roots in the Philippines where it is legal. Cockfights are held all over the country almost every Sunday and during public holidays.
That's unbelievable. That's one of the most violent things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was...
Are you ready to be the human version of that?
Before the losing roosters have been cleared from the ring, the crowd began to clamor for more action.
These people are here to see chaos. Chaos and carnage.
Because of Eskrima's ultra-violent nature, we set some ground rules. As we'd seen, Eskrima fights could feature everything from daggers to double fighting sticks. Our fight would be solo olisi, single stick.
Because of the danger of serious injury or even death, most sport Eskrima matches are fought in full body armor. But the helmets and armor make serious injuries rare, so most matches are won on points rather than knockouts.
But because we trained old school, we wanted to fight old school. No armor. Instead, our competition sticks would be metal rods wrapped with thin padding. This was going to hurt.
And what about throws and stuff?
You can throw 3 times this arm, TKO.
There would be 3 2-minute rounds. Each round would be scored on a 10-point must system. If anyone breaks a bone, loses consciousness, or is bleeding profusely, the fight will be stopped immediately. Our friend Gerald will referee, and 3 Dose Paris Grandmasters will score the bout.
Adam, Yoko!
I knew I had to play to my strengths as an MMA fighter, not rely on my sticks. I tried to use my foot speed to my advantage, but it was no match for his striking power.
Come on, Jason. Boom. Nice.
I landed a few solid strikes, but Percival countered with his own combination and used the butt end of his stick to disarm me. I couldn't match his stick work, but I'm an experienced grappler, so I went in for the labai.
45 seconds.
Percival was having none of that. Then I tried a judo-style foot sweep. But my judo sweep was illegal in Eskrima because I didn't do it in one move. No points.
Woo! These things sting. These are not Nerf bats.
Yeah, it's hard, huh?
You think?
He doesn't just hit hard. I could feel Percival using the leverage of his stick in the clinch, prying mine out of my hand. The judges scored round 1, 10-8 in Percival's favor. I needed to concentrate on the powerful strikes I learned at Dose Paris and work his body, and avoid having the locks and disarms we learned getting used on me.
So you're down 1 round now. You need this round.
Early on, I scored several body blows, but Percival countered quickly and nearly disarmed me again. For every shot I landed, Percival landed 2. Every blow hit with enough force to bruise bone.
Don't dance, hit him! Swing, Jason, hit him hard!
I dropped it, I didn't lose it.
It's still a disarm if you drop it. So.
With 2 disarms against me, a knockout was my only chance for victory. The last 10 seconds of the round were brutal. My ribs felt like they'd been hammered by a meat tenderizer. And on his last strike, Percival nailed me in the finger.
I think I broke my finger.
Broke it?
I don't know. It hurts.
Oh.
Done? All right.
It was a TKO for Percival. But for 2 rounds, I feel like I held my own. Not bad for facing an Eskrima champ in my first fight.
Holy crap, am I sore? I feel like I got in a car accident without the car.
Even though I lost the fight, I did manage to win the respect of one of the world's greatest Escrimadors.
I never expect this guy's fight like this, so it's gonna be surprising. Hits me hard. This guy is very strong, big, so it's very surprising, but it's nice to have a fight like that.
Beaten, bruised, and battered, we headed out of Bajan with a profound appreciation for the art of Eskrima and its deep connection to Philippine history and culture.
This stuff is fun. I like this. Woo!